Church is the easiest place on earth to get power you didn't earn, and a specific type of person has known this for years. So I decided to do some research on dark psychology personality types who are drawn to this unearned power that the church gives you, and what they do with that power once they get it. In 2013, psychologist Delroy Paulus at the University of British Columbia published research on a cluster of personality traits that travel together in the most dangerous people you will ever meet. He called it the dark tetrad, 4 types of predators, all drawn to one place, the church. Now there are 2 types of religious people. People who go to church because they genuinely believe. They like the structure of it, the tradition. Their faith is real. Their religion doesn't hurt anyone else. And then there are the people who go to church for what it gives them: status, titles, authority, the appearance of being a good person. Dark tetrad personalities are not interested in genuine belief. Genuine belief requires empathy, humility, and putting others first. Those are the exact qualities dark tetrad people don't have. For people that manipulate other people for sport and feel no empathy, the church is a hunting ground. Here are the 4 dark psychological predators sitting in your local church right now. 1. The narcissist. A narcissistic person does not go to church to worship God. A narcissist goes to church to be worshipped, to have control, to abuse power. Psychologist Otto Kernberg at Cornell University spent decades studying the type of person who poisons every close relationship they're in and never once think that they are the problem. He called it narcissism. The belief that you're better than everyone else built on a lifetime of insecurity. A narcissistic person survives on something psychologists call narcissistic supply. This is the praise, the attention, the admiration they get from other people. A narcissistic person needs supply the way an addict needs a fix. Without the attention, they don't just feel sad. They feel like they're disappearing. Their entire identity depends on other people constantly telling them they are special. When their supply stops, the narcissist panics, and they'll do almost anything to get that supply back. The majority of narcissistic people were created by authoritarian parenting and abusive households. A home where being wrong was punished, where showing weakness was dangerous, where the only safe move was to perform, go along to get along, and never question the person in charge. That defense system does not turn off when they grow up. It just finds a new victim to get supply from. A narcissistic person does not process criticism the same way a healthy person does. Criticism is not new information to them. It's seen as a personal attack on their very identity. The narcissistic brain registers criticism the same way it registers physical danger. Narcissistic people do not self-reflect after receiving criticism. They attack. They retaliate. Church is the perfect hunting ground for a narcissistic person because church gives them a title, a stage, and a congregation that is taught that questioning leadership is the same as questioning God. So nobody ever tells them that they're the problem. They never have to face the truth about themselves. You don't have to build a company or earn a degree. You don't have to really earn anything. You just have to perform religious belief convincingly enough. And they hand out titles like elder, deacon, youth pastor, ministry leader. Instant respect, instant authority, 0 qualifications. Just declare your faith and walk through the door. And if someone starts to see through the performance, the narcissist attacks that person. They'll label that person as evil or as Satan. They'll turn the entire congregation against the person who saw what's behind the mask. The person who asked the question ends up leaving the church wondering what they did wrong. The narcissistic person eventually destroys everyone close enough to see the real person underneath. Everyone else only sees the performance and thinks the narcissistic person is wonderful, and the victim walks away thinking it was their fault. 2. The Machiavellian. The Machiavellian doesn't go to church because they believe. They go because church is full of people who are trained to trust without question. In 1970, psychologist Richard Christie and Florence Geis at Columbia University identified a personality type built entirely around manipulation and power. They called it Machiavellianism, the belief that the world is a game of power, and the only real morality is winning it. Machiavellian parents create Machiavellian children, harsh punishment, emotionally cold parenting, early exposure to manipulation. When a child grows up in a house where trust is considered weakness, and power is the only currency that matters, the child's brain adapts. It learns the world is a game, and the only way to survive is to play it better than everyone else. People wired this way do not see manipulation as wrong. They see it as intelligence. Lying to your face feels the same to them as saying good morning. There's no internal alarm, There's no inner voice that says what they're doing is wrong. A Machiavellian's drive is not just money or fame. Their main drive is to know they outsmarted you. That win is their drug. And a church gives them a room full of people who will never know they lost. A congregation is taught that questioning leadership is the same as questioning God, that forgiveness is mandatory, that doubt is a sign of weak faith. A Machiavellian hears all of this and sees a room full of people who will believe anything they are told, forgive anything they do, and never ask hard questions. They know the language, they quote the verses, they cry during prayer. They volunteer for every mission trip, and while they're doing all of this, they're calculating who trusts them enough to be used. They borrow money they will never pay back from a family who can't afford it. They seduce a vulnerable person and quote scripture to keep them silent. They steal from the offering plate and then blame it on poor bookkeeping. The Machiavellian does not exploit strangers. They exploit the people who trust them the most. And no institution on earth manufactures trust faster than a church. 3. Psychopath. The psychopath doesn't go to church because they care about other people. They go to church because it gives them the moral cover for the fact that they have never cared about anyone ever. Psychologist Robert Hare at the University of British Columbia spent decades studying people who felt nothing for others. He called it psychopathy. It's the complete absence of empathy for anyone. Children who experience severe neglect, abuse, or chaos early in life show the same neurological abnormalities as adults diagnosed with psychopathy. The empathy does not disappear. It gets deactivated as a survival mechanism. In a normal brain, when you see someone suffering, a signal fires. It's automatic. It's involuntary. The signal is what makes cruelty feel wrong. In a psychopathic brain, that signal is absent. Other people's pain produces no internal response. So there's nothing to overcome, nothing to rationalize. The suffering of others is simply neutral information. Church is the ideal hiding place for psychopaths, because church measures character by what people say, not by what they do. If you say you love God, then you love God. If you say Jesus saved you, then Jesus saved you. Nobody really checks. Psychopaths are very good at pretending. They learn what face to make when someone's crying. They learn what words to say when someone is grieving. They perform caring perfectly, not because they feel the pain with you, because the performance gets them access. They counsel struggling marriages and use what they learn to manipulate both sides. They are the leaders of youth groups and groom the most vulnerable kids for exploitation. None of it's real. Families are destroyed, children are damaged for life, and the psychopath moves on to the next church and does it all over again. 4. The sadist. The sadist doesn't go to church to help people. They go because church gives them the authority to hurt people and call it God's will. In 2013, psychologist Aaron Buckles and Delroy Paulus at the University of British Columbia identified a fourth dark psychological trait. They called it everyday sadism, the enjoyment of causing pain or humiliation to other people. The research on everyday sadism is thinner than the other 3 dark psychological traits. What we do know is that it shares genetic roots with psychopathy and shows up early in childhood. Whether these people were born this way, or the cruelty was modeled for them by their parents, the results are the same. They have a brain that finds pleasure in what most people would find horrific. And unlike psychopaths who feel nothing, sadists feel everything. This is what makes them worse than psychopaths. They feel the pleasure. They seek it out. They need it. A sadist doesn't hurt people because they're angry. They hurt people because the act of hurting someone is the only thing that makes them feel powerful. In the real world, a sadist has to hide this. Church gives them somewhere to put it. A pastor who publicly shames a member for sin is exercising authority. A church leader who interrogates a young woman about her sexual history is doing accountability. An elder who disciplines a family for questioning leadership is protecting the flock. A youth pastor who uses the fear of going to hell to control teenagers is saving souls. Every one of these acts involves power over vulnerable people. Every one of them is protected by the authority of the church. The sadist who publicly humiliates a church member is not rebuking sin. They're getting off on it. People leave traumatized. Teenagers develop anxiety disorders. Women carry shame for decades. And the sadist sleeps soundly at night because the congregation thanks them for it. The sadist doesn't have to hide what they enjoy. They just have to call it a ministry. The church protects it all. Because the church has one feature that no other institution has: mandatory forgiveness. A Machiavellian gets caught stealing. They cry at the altar. The congregation forgives. They start again on Monday. A psychopath gets caught manipulating a family. They quote scripture about grace. The congregation forgives. They start again on Monday. Forgiveness is not their path to redemption. It's their get-out-of-jail-free card, and they'll use it every single time. Church is the only institution in America where the barriers to power are this low. The access to vulnerable people is high, and the accountability is non-existent. A lawyer has to pass the bar exam. A doctor has to be licensed. A teacher has to be certified. A pastor in most independent churches has to do nothing except say, "God called me." These people did not find God. They found a room full of people who are religiously obligated to trust them. These people are praying with you as they plan on preying on you.